Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Jason. Today we are talking about one of the best fridges on the market right now. So this 12 volt fridge here is a 55 liter or 58 quart dual zone fridge, and it does have the ability to be a freezer and a fridge, a full fridge, or a full freezer. So the measurements on this fridge are going to be 29 by 18 by 19. So this is by no means a small fridge. This is a very high capacity fridge. So while it does have a ton of internal capacity, it is a little bit larger because it does have a 2.5 inch or almost 2.5 inch, 2.4 inch wall to make it actually more efficient. So space is an issue for you. You can maybe go with a smaller one, but for me personally, I would rather have a much more efficient fridge that is going to use less electricity. Now, it is important to mention this does come in two different colors. This is the stainless steel here, and it also does come in black. There are a lot of other people that have the black one. That's why I went with this one. But in terms of aesthetics, I think that the black maybe looks better in some light. Maybe this one looks better. The metal finish, the stainless steel finish on it, the grips, the corners. I really do think this is a very good looking fridge. All right, so let's go ahead and start off by looking at the outside of the fridge here. This fridge is the stainless steel, like I said before. You can also get the black. So on the back side here, you will see this little magnetic spot, and this is great if you do get the ICECO battery bank here. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second, but it is a really nice spot so that you can actually run the fridge. So the fridge has plugs both in the back here as well as the front. The reason I really like the plugs being on the front as well as the back is that if I want to be able to read the screen up here, on a lot of other ones, the plug is going to be on this side here. On my old setup, I had it on a slide, and basically I would have to have this screen facing away from me because when I had it on the slide, it would get caught in the rails. So I do like the ability to plug into the back, and that is how I personally plug that in. So you get 3 plugs here on the front and 2 in the back. So the back one's going to be great for USBs. It's got 2 of them back there, and it's also got your DC, which is the battery connect, back there in the back. Typically, I'm gonna have this in the back seat of my truck, and then I'm gonna have the power bank plugged in, magnet to the back, and then I'm gonna have that plugged into the 12 volt. And then we'll actually charge the battery and then run this while I'm driving. And when I get to camp, it is just running completely off of that battery. I will do a test in a little bit showing you guys how long that actually lasts, and I was actually very impressed. So also here on the front, you do have DC as well as an AC and 2 USBs as well. AC is really nice because I do like to pre-chill these before I go anywhere, and before I had to use an additional brick to plug in on other ones before I left. Wasn't a big issue, but I do like the ability to plug right in. So that is the way I would recommend using any fridge inside of your vehicle. If you have this in the house beforehand, you're about to go on the trip, pre-chill this once it gets down to temperature, and then you can load up before you go. That way you're not using any precious electricity from your power bank, you're just using it from your house. So you will also notice here on the outside, this is metal all around. These handles are really nice. Like I said before, if you do have this on the slide and you can plug in back there, it is really nice because you will have to use these handles. Some of them have plastic. This brand and this one here actually has an aluminum spring-loaded handle there. So nice for actually getting a good grip, getting down tight on your fridge slide. So something very interesting I saw on this one that I hadn't seen on a lot of other ones is that this one actually is rated for outdoor use. So if I'm out here and it's raining a little bit, then ICECO does claim that you can leave this out there and you should be fine. As long as the vents on here don't get a lot of water in them, then you should be fine. So looking up here on the front, you'll notice the 2 latches here. So these are also aluminum as well. On a lot of fridges, you'll open from the side here. I have some fridges that open from either side. This one opens straight up and down. Now, I'm not exactly sure if I prefer one or the other yet. It has not been a real big difference for me, so not a huge issue. However, if you had a tight space and you had a choice between opening like this, where it only gets this much taller, or it gets this much taller when you open it up, then that might be something that you have to look for. This is a soft close fridge. It's not going to slam on your hands. So if you have kids or something like that and they're getting in here constantly, then you don't run that risk of smashing their fingers. So you will see in here, this is right now not in the configuration of the dual zone. That's because I just personally don't use the dual zones that often. I typically leave these open as a single zone. However, if I do feel the need to use the fridge and a freezer, then I can easily just add that back. So there is a little section in here that will go in there, and I'll show you what that looks like. And then there's typically 2 bins on either side. Now I'm pretty simple. I just like to keep it as a fridge, so I'm fine with that. I don't have a lot of frozen food, but I'm assuming that a lot of you guys will probably use it as a fridge and a freezer. So I'll show you what that looks like. And that is really cool because once you pull that little section out, it immediately switches to a single zone, and the screen up here will display that. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about this kind of cool thing right here that I also picked up. This is the magnetic little power bank here, and this is really, really cool. I'm actually really excited about this because I typically, when I go out camping and I use this, I'll have to siphon from my main power bank, which I do run, heaters off of. I run my heated blanket off of. And this is really nice because now I have actually kind of nice price power bank that I can use on just the fridge. And the really cool thing about this one is that you can actually charge this off of the 12 volt while running the fridge. So earlier I let this start up from that, and I think it went down to like 94 or something like that. And then when I got on the road, it actually powered it back to 100%. A little 250 watt power bank here, and it's very slim, very compact. Definitely an add-on that I would recommend. And I'm pretty sure this works on other fridges besides just the APL55. So we're gonna go ahead and run a little test on this and kind of see how long this 250 watt power bank will actually charge this. Now what we're going to do is we're going to run this at 32 degrees. That is borderline freezer temperatures, so I might actually run this more at like 36, 37. Just for the purposes of this, we're going to run it down at 32 degrees. We're also going to let it start from room temperature. So we're going from 70 to 32 on this, and then we're going to run it as long as possible. So just a note, I did not open it during this time, so it will be affected by how often you are opening it. While this was at 32 degrees Fahrenheit, that is about freezing, you can run this as low as -4. That could be the entire zone, or you could run it at a low temperature, a really low temperature on this side, and then on this side you could have it around like 38. But essentially, if you really wanted to, they say that you can run this up to 68 degrees. Not sure the functionality of running up to 68 degrees. Typically what I would do is run this at an eco mode most of the time, but if I'm gonna be starting it up from room temperature, I'll probably hit the max button. And then once it's gotten to temperature, I'll just put it on eco. And it's pretty much stayed that temperature every time I've driven with it so far. Whatever temperature I set it at, even on eco mode, it pretty much stays at that every time I've driven with it, even up into the 80s. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the tech on this. So this is powered by a ICECO compressor, which has a 5-year warranty. But these are already an extremely reliable compressors. That compressor is really nice because if you are off-roading and you get off camber, this compressor will work up to 40 degrees. I'm not typically over 40 degrees too much, but if you are on some pretty heavy off-roading and you're kind of going off camber, then the compressor should work up to that. All right, so it's not showing up great on the camera here. It is way brighter in real life than it is on camera here. that looks about what it looks like in real life right there. This is on eco mode right now. Put that on eco mode, or we can put it on max. And it is nice that it actually does click. I can actually feel that I'm actually pressing the button. Some other ones, you know, it's just kind of a touch thing and you don't know if you're touching it. You also do have right here a light that can turn on. So it can be white, a bluish color, off, and kind of a pulsing white there. So I would typically keep this off because with the headlamp and the lights inside the fridge itself, I think that's plenty of light for me to be able to see what I need to get. So of course, as with everything, you know, nothing is completely perfect. So there are some things that I would consider downsides to this fridge. So the first of which is going to be weight. So it's not really a big issue for me because I have a high payload capacity in my vehicle and I am able to lift the weight of the fridge no problem. But if you can't lift around 50 something pounds and you have a pretty loaded down vehicle, you have plenty of other fridges that are lighter. A lot of that has to do with the fact that this is stainless steel, that this is metal on 6 sides. It has metal handles here, metal grips, latches there as well. So obviously it's going to be a little bit heavier just due to the beefiness of it. Another reason is, like we said before, it's going to have that almost 2.5-inch wall on there to keep it insulated, so that is going to actually add a little bit of weight there as well. So at about 55 pounds, it's not the heaviest thing ever, but it's certainly not the lightest fridge that I've ever had. And the second one is going to be more something of concern for me, and if you do keep that center divider in there, it won't be a big issue. The bins on there. So typically on those bins, if you just have it metal up against plastic, you might hear a tapping sound. There are these little rubber pieces that you can put on there. So I did grab those little rubber pieces and I did add it on there and it fit perfectly fine. I'll see if I can find some on like Amazon or something to drop below that'll fit. So if you do have that center divider in and the bins in there, perfectly fine. But if you take that center divider out and make it a single zone and you have the music off and you're driving down a bumpy road, you might notice a little bit of a rattle. But that being said, guys, I appreciate you guys stopping by and checking out this review of the APL55. See you guys in the next video.